All right, folks, you ready for this? We're going deep, deep, deep into War and Peace. Tolstoy, man, I think he was trying to, single-handedly destroy the printing industry with this one.
Yeah, I had to buy a new bookshelf just to hold this beast.
Seriously, it's like the size of a small car and just as intimidating. But you know what? I kind of dig it. It's like he's challenging us to really commit, to strap in for the long haul and surrender to the Tolstoyan vortex.
Yeah, you gotta be in the right headspace to tackle this one. No skimming allowed.
Totally. You gotta immerse yourself in the language, the characters, the sheer epicness of it all. It's like a mental marathon, but with, fancier clothes and more existential angst.
Speaking of existential angst, isn't that kind of the whole point of War and Peace?
Well, yeah, you're right. It's like Tolstoy's taking us on this grand tour of the human condition, exploring all the big questions, love, death, war, the meaning of life, the whole shebang.
And he does it with a cast of thousands. Seriously, how many characters are in this book? And I keep losing track.
I know, right? It's like a Russian soap opera on steroids. But hey, that's part of the fun, right? Getting lost in this tangled web of relationships, betrayals, love affairs, and philosophical ramblings.
Ramblings is the right word. Sometimes I feel like Tolstoy just gets lost in his own thoughts and takes us on these wild tangents that have nothing to do with the plot.
But those tangents, man, they're where the magic happens. That's where he drops those mind-blowing insights, those philosophical bombshells that make you reevaluate your whole existence.
True. Okay, so where do we even begin with this behemoth? Maybe we should start with the characters. We've got your Anna Pavlovna's throwing those lavish parties where everyone's gossiping and steaming.
Oh, well, those parties. Talk about superficiality central. It's like they're also obsessed with social status and appearances that they're totally missing the point of, actually living.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Tolstoy wants us to see. He's contrasting their petty concerns with the harsh realities of war and the struggles of the common people. It's like he's saying, look, these rich folks are fiddling while Rome burns, and they don't even realize it.
It's like, hey, maybe worry less about which fork to use for the caviar and more about the fact that, people are dying in ditches for some political power trip.
Exactly. He's exposing the absurdity of it all. And you know what's even more absurd? Prince Vasily, that social climber extraordinaire who couldn't write a sincere letter to save his life.
Oh man, Prince Vasily. That dude was such a poser, all about climbing that social ladder, even if it meant stepping on everyone on the way up.
And then you've got Pierre, who's this lovable but clueless puppy dog trying to find his place in the world. Remember when he gets kicked out of Petersburg for tying a policeman to a bear?
Wait, what? He tied a policeman to a bear. Dude, that's amazing. I totally forgot about that part.
See, this book has so many layers. But that ridiculous prank actually speaks to Pierre's deeper search for meaning. He's experimenting with different philosophies, dipping his toes into hedonism, grappling with the big questions of life.
Just like Tolstoy himself, right? I mean, the dude went through some serious existential crises in his own life.
Yeah.
It's like he poured all that angst and searching into his characters, especially Pierre.
Totally. And speaking of quest, can we talk about the whole love and relationships situation in War and Peace? Because it's a hot mess express, let me tell you.
Dude, you're not kidding. It's like a tangled web of love triangles, unrequited crushes, and marriages that are doomed from the start.
And none of these characters seem to know what real love actually is. They're all caught up in societal expectations, power plays, and their own romantic fantasies.
Yeah, they're playing a game of love Jenga, pulling out the wrong blocks until the whole thing comes crashing down. Remember Natasha's whirlwind romances? Talk about a girl who wears her heart on her sleeve.
Oh, Natasha. She's so impulsive, so passionate, so easily swayed by her emotions. But through her mistakes and heartbreaks, Tolstoy shows us the complexities of love, how it can be both exhilarating and devastating, how it can elevate us and crush us.
It's deep, man. Are we choosing who we love, or is it all just fate and circumstance? Are we destined to fall for the wrong people, or are we just making bad decisions?
Those are the questions Tolstoy's throwing at us, and he doesn't give us any easy answers. He's just showing us the messiness of human relationships, the heartache, the joy, the confusion, the longing.
It's like you finish reading War and Peace, and you're just like, okay, I need a hug, a therapist, and a lifetime supply of chocolate to process all that.
Word. But let's not forget about the war part of War and Peace. These characters are living through some seriously intense historical events, and Tolstoy doesn't shy away from showing us the brutality of it all.
Yeah, he's not romanticizing war at all. He's showing you the dirt, the blood, the fear, the pointlessness of it all.
Think about those graphic descriptions of the Battle of Austerlitz. It's like Tolstoy saying, you want to glorify war, here's what it really looks like.
Ooh, you're right. It's like he's holding up a mirror to humanity and saying, look at what you're capable of. Are you proud of this?
Exactly. And it's crazy. While the battles are raging, these characters are still going to balls, gossiping about who's getting promoted in the army and falling in and out of love. It's like life goes on even when the world feels like it's falling apart.
Dude, that's deep. It's like even in the midst of chaos, we still crave connection, love, meaning. We're wired for it, I guess.
We are, man. And Tolstoy gets that. He understands the human condition, the contradictions, the complexities, the messiness of it all. He really does, man. Like, he's got this X-ray vision into our souls. All the stuff we try to hide, all those messy bits, he just lays it all out there. It's like he's saying, hey, check it out. We're all just messed up humans, just trying to figure things out.
And failing miserably most of the time, right? Like, seriously, these characters make some epically bad decisions. It's like they're reading from, The Idiot's Guide to Screwing Up Your Life.
But isn't that what makes them so relatable? I mean, they're not like perfect heroes in some fairy tale. They're just real people, making mistakes, stumbling around. And Tolstoy's showing us what happens when you make those mistakes, how they ripple out, affect everyone around you. It's deep, man.
Yeah, it's like that butterfly effect thing, right? One tiny flap of the wings can cause a hurricane on the other side of the world. But in War and Peace, it's more like one bad decision leads to a whole tsunami of drama, heartbreak, you name it.
Exactly. And speaking of heartbreak, can we talk about Prince Andrei for a sec? That guy was a walking, talking existential crisis. Every time he opened his mouth, I was waiting for a storm cloud to appear over his head.
Oh man, Prince Andrei. He's like that friend who's always got to bring the mood down. We get it, life is a bummer. Can we just enjoy this party without you reminding us that we're all gonna die someday?
But his cynicism, it comes from a real place, He's been through some stuff. He's disillusioned with war, with society, with love, the whole 9 yards. He's searching for meaning, just like Pierre, but he's going about it in a much darker way.
Yeah, it's like he's seen too much of the world's ugliness.
Yeah.
It's poisoned him, sapped all the joy and hope out of him.
And that's the tragedy of Prince Andrei, right? He's so smart, so capable, but he's trapped in this prison of his own cynicism. He's built these walls around his heart, trying to protect himself from pain, but he's also shut out all the good stuff, love, connection, happiness.
It's like he's forgotten how to feel. He's just going through the motions, observing everything with this detached irony that's fascinating, but also kind of heartbreaking.
Totally heartbreaking. But his story, it reminds us that even the most cynical people, they can change. Even when we feel lost and hopeless, there's always that possibility, of redemption, of finding our way back to the light.
Redemption, huh? That's a nice thought. But is it really possible? I mean, when you're reading about war and death and all the messed up things humans do to each other, it's hard to stay optimistic, Makes you wonder, what's the point? Why even bother trying to be good when the world just seems determined to drag you down?
That's the big question, right? The existential dilemma.
Yeah.
But I think Tolstoy's saying that even in all the darkness, there are those little flickers of hope, those moments of beauty, acts of kindness. They remind us that, there's still good in the world.
Like those tiny sparks that keep us going, even when it feels like everything's falling apart.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes War and Peace so powerful. It doesn't shy away from the ugly stuff, but it also shows us the beauty, the love, that resilience of the human spirit. It's a reminder that even when things are tough, there's still reason to hope, to believe in something better.
Dude, that's deep. I need a minute to process all that. Take a break for snacks and existential contemplation.
For sure, man. Let's grab some munchies and ponder the meaning of life, the universe, and everything.
Okay, back in the game, fueled up on chips and cosmic insights. So where were we? Oh yeah, War and Peace, the ultimate epic of love, war, and philosophical mind-bending. We were talking about hope and resilience and those little sparks that keep us going. But let's be real. It's hard to stay optimistic when you're surrounded by so much, crap.
It is, man. Tolstoy doesn't sugarcoat anything. He shows us the harsh realities, the injustices, the hypocrisy. It's like he's holding up this mirror to humanity and saying, take a good look, this is who you are.
And it's not always pretty, right? But even in all that mess, Tolstoy also shows us these moments of grace, of beauty, of love that like shine through the darkness.
Totally. And I think that's his message. Even in the face of suffering, there's still room for hope, for compassion, for connection. Like, we're all in this together. We got to find a way to like support each other, lift each other up, create something better.
Dude, you're starting to sound like a hippie. But I get it. It's like, we can't just give up and let the darkness win, right? We got to fight for something, even if it's just a tiny spark of hope.
Exactly. And you know what else Tolstoy shows us? The power of individual choice. Even in the midst of these like massive historical events, it's the small personal choices that shape our destinies.
It's like we're all writing our own stories,
Yeah.
right? And even though there are these bigger forces at play like fate and history and all that, we still have the power to choose how we respond, how we act, how we love.
That's a powerful realization, man. It's like we're not just pawns in some cosmic game. We're like active participants in creating our own lives.
Whoa, getting all philosophical up in here. But seriously, I feel like Tolstoy's messing with my head. It's like he's planting these seeds of thought that keep growing and branching out in all these crazy directions.
That's the beauty of it, man. He makes you question everything, rethink your assumptions, see the world in new ways. It's like he's taking you on this mental journey, this deep dive into like the heart of human experience.
The deep dive, huh? I like that. It's like we're explorers charting the uncharted territories of our own minds, and Tolstoy's our guide, leading us through these like intricate labyrinths of thought and emotion.
Exactly. And along the way, we're discovering these hidden treasures, these nuggets of wisdom that like challenge us, inspire us, and ultimately help us make sense of this crazy, beautiful, messed up thing we call life.
Dude, you're making me feel all existential and stuff. I think I need another snack break. My brain can only handle so much Tolstoyan enlightenment at once.
Go for it, man. Fuel up those brain cells. We've got more War and Peace to unpack.
All right, brain refueled and ready to like dive back into the Tolstoyan abyss. We've covered love, war, existential meltdowns, the meaning of life. What other like gems are hidden in this epic tome?
We haven't really talked about like the whole historical context, right? War and Peace, it's set during the Napoleonic Wars, man, at a time of crazy upheaval and change. Like the whole map of Europe was getting redrawn.
Oh yeah, totally. It's like those characters are living through this like massive historical earthquake. And Tolstoy, he doesn't just like use it as a backdrop. He like weaves it into their lives, shows how history shapes their choices, their destiny. It's deep, man.
It is, man. It's like he's showing us this like cosmic dance between fate and free will. Those characters, they're trying to make their own choices, but they're also being swept along by these like massive historical currents.
It's like they're like tiny boats caught in a raging river, trying to steer, but ultimately at the mercy of the current.
Exactly. And like Tolstoy doesn't shy away from showing us the brutal realities of war, right? Those battle scenes, man, they're so vivid, so intense. You can practically like smell the gunpowder and hear the cannons roaring.
It's like he drops you right into the heart of the battle. You're right there with the soldiers, feeling the chaos, the fear, the sheer adrenaline rush of it all. And then bam, next chapter, you're back in some ballroom sipping champagne, gossiping about like who's hooking up with who.
That's Tolstoy, man, always keeping you on your toes, shifting perspectives, jumping between like the epic and the intimate. He's showing us how history is made, not just by like kings and generals, but by ordinary people making choices, falling in love, just trying to like live their lives.
Like we're all part of this like giant tapestry, right? Each thread, no matter how small, it contributes to the overall pattern.
Dude, that's deep. And it makes you think, like even our smallest choices, they can have like ripple effects, affecting the world in ways we can't even imagine.
Whoa, mind blown. But okay, enough with the big picture stuff. Let's talk about those Russian names again.
Sure.
Seriously, Tolstoy throws so many characters at you, it's like trying to like memorize the phone book.
I feel you, man. Sometimes I had to like draw myself a diagram just to keep track of who was who and how they were all like related.
Diagram, dude, you're taking this way too seriously. I'm just like riding the Tolstoyan wave, letting the names wash over me like a symphony of syllables.
But that's part of the fun, right? Like getting lost in this like vast, intricate maze. But instead of walls, it's like endless paragraphs and philosophical tangents.
And just when you think you're totally lost, bam, Tolstoy hits you with some like mind-blowing insight that makes you question like the very fabric of reality.
Exactly. That's War and Peace, man. A book that like keeps on giving. It rewards multiple readings, reveals new layers of meaning every time you dive back in.
It's like the ultimate literary onion, man, layers upon layers, and you never quite reach the center. But hey, that's the journey, right? The endless exploration, the constant questioning.
It's a mental workout, for sure, but it's worth it. You come out of it like exhausted but exhilarated. You've learned something, grown as a person.
Totally. Tolstoy's taking you on this like epic road trip, not just through 19th century Russia, but through the like depths of your own soul. And you come back, change, transform, maybe a little wiser, a little more like in awe of the human capacity for both greatness and, epic screw-ups.
Well said, man. War and Peace, it's not just a book, it's an experience. It's a challenge, but it's a rewarding one.
Like a rite of passage for any serious reader. You got to wrestle with Tolstoy at least once in your life. It might break you, but it might also make you whole.
It's a journey worth taking. So to everyone out there, I say dive in, embrace the chaos, get lost in the story, and let Tolstoy, blow your mind.
Yeah, what he said. And with that, I'm officially tapping out. I need a nap, a snack, and maybe a, lifetime supply of therapy to process all this Tolstoyan wisdom.
Sounds like a plan, man. Until next time, folks, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those deep dives coming.
Peace out, bookworms. And remember, life is short, art is long, and War and Peace is, really, really, really long.
Yeah.